Today on the Nerdy Gritty, we discuss the 12 base classes of D&D 5th edition and what Bible characters fit into them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Fox.
I am Dez. Hey, Fox, have you seen those cool new previews, the cool new announcements that have been going on and whatnot?
There's in the world we live in.
No, those ones.
Constant. Oh,
The ones.
Oh, yeah, those ones.
Borderlands
right.
3.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. Yes, I have, and I mean, as a Borderlands fan, I'm freaking pumped because I love I've put Borderlands 2 is probably in the top 5 for how much time I've put into a video game.
So Borderlands 3 is out, and
I'm
I've put a
very
lot of hours
excited
into Borderlands
for it.
1.
The
Yeah,
trailer
really
looks
good.
like classic Borderlands, which I love.
Are you going to get it on the Epic
100%.
Store?
Absolutely.
You're going to get it on the Epic Store?
Yeah, I like the Epic Store.
So there's this big controversy right now because Epic has gone out and essentially paid for exclusivity
Essentially,
rights.
yeah.
Yeah, and they've gone to Borderlands and been like, hey,
Hey,
only
Randy
our
Pitchford,
store for
Gearbox.
yeah, for the first 6 months, I think is what
I
it
think
is?
it's a 6-month exclusivity, but that's only on PC. It's still coming
Right.
out on PS4 and Xbox
right.
One.
So essentially, it's just not Steam.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just not Steam for 6 months.
Right.
I understand people don't like exclusivity. I'm not trying to take away that, like, you know, I'd rather play it on this thing. But to me, it's the argument that it's hurting games or the industry is not really applicable in this. I can understand
Right.
that, like, if it's exclusive to this one console forever, then yeah, you're kind of leaving out a pretty large section of your audience base that doesn't get to experience a game. This is no, you just have to use this other free gaming service to play the game.
Yeah. Well, Fox, what have you been up to, man?
A few things. First thing, we watched, my wife and I, a couple episodes, first 2 episodes of the show, The Orville.
The Orville, yeah.
Which is, it's Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy and, you know, lots of movies nowadays. It's him trying to create a throwback to Star Trek while also trying to maintain a little bit of his humor style in it. It's a comedy. I won't even say comedy sci-fi. It's so transparently Star Trek, specifically Star Trek Next Gen, that it's really a big homage and not
It
really
is homage.
not really.
It's not satire.
It's not satire. It's not parody. It's not trying to make fun of those things. Maybe here and there, but
Right.
it's not. It's an homage, a heavy homage. And it's a mixed bag for me.
Jackie and I have been finishing Gotham,
Mm-hmm.
the seasons that are out on Netflix right now, and
Sure.
from when the show began to now, it's gotten a little bit more crazy. But it's been I've been okay in accepting
I
of it
mean,
'cause
there are
it
a lot of
happens
crazy
slowly.
people in Gotham, so
But when first season, it was more of a mafia show.
Yeah.
Like it was more of
like The Dark Knight.
yeah, very very much
That's
like
a
the Dark
crime
Knight.
syndicate takedown movie.
Very much like the Dark Knight, and you know there was names that if you know the comics you'd understand, like Carmine Falcone. Now, of course, there's Solomon Grundy and Scarecrow.
Solomon Grundy is in Gotham.
Yeah,
Is he just undead strongman?
yeah.
Really?
I also have now
Who was Solomon Grundy?
beaten
The World,
the World Next Door thrice,
3 times.
and I'm probably gonna go back in a 4th time.
They recently posted on Instagram.
I wonder if
What's this? The World Next Door versus mode?
Yes! Oh, everybody's
That's
been
right.
asking for it.
We
big
did
time.
some playtesting last night at the Pig Squad PDX Drink and Draw event. It's a thing. That you're welcome. We talked about it last week.
Anything else that you're doing? Because I have one more thing.
Oh, I've been playing Sekiro still, and I'm
I have
learning.
2 more things.
I've been learning to understand it
Yeah.
a little more. There's a fight with Genichiro, who's the guy who cuts your arm off at the beginning. I'm
Right.
fighting him at the top of Ashina Castle, and it's frustrating, but it's also been a very educational battle for me. Where you have to press the attack, and pressing the attack might even mean blocking and deflecting. Like you want they want your battles to be as cool, similar to like cool anime ninja battles as possible.
Yes.
Where you're constantly fighting and deflecting and dodging and attacking. And when you get that down, it's so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Like I can take him down fairly easily, but then there's like a second battle with him
second form.
where it's very the
Epic.
Tomoe lightning, yeah. and it's
Have you
hard. I haven't beaten that.
received the thing to fight back against the lightning?
Yeah, where you jump in the air and
Okay,
when it
cool.
hits you.
Yeah,
I
I just
haven't
wanna
been
make
able
sure.
to do it yet. I thought I did, and then it just killed me, which was frustrating. But,
Really?
Like, I thought I had done the right thing at the right time.
right.
Apparently, I hadn't.
So this is I am watching so much Sekiro. I have probably watched more hours than you have put into Sekiro.
Yeah, easily. I haven't
Yeah.
played it in a while because I've been playing Stardew Valley also, and that's just a much more fun game.
But
for
I've
me.
watched probably 5 of your episodes. I've watched maybe more. I've watched all of Dan Floyd's episodes. I've watched like 15 of Christopher Odd's episodes. I've watched Dan Jones play through. He has platinumed it. He just platinumed it last night, I guess. And I've been watching Will Overguard play through it, and I just love watching this game. And the watching of it has really helped cement to me the difficulty as part of the art of it, because when you're in combat and when you see somebody doing it really well, it really is this beautiful dance with these two people going back and forth.
Let's move on.
Anyway, okay, the last thing I wanted to bring up is that see, now I was spaced on it. There was one more thing I wanted to bring up. Nope, I got nothing anymore.
No?
No.
You got nothing?
I mean, I don't want you to listen to me sit here and think about it.
Do it.
I had one more thing, and then you're like, I've been playing a lot of Sekiro, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have 2 more things now.
Yep, you did say that.
But
you're a liar now.
Now I don't remember what the one other thing was. Oh no, I do remember what it was. So tomorrow, and thankfully we're recording this on a Friday, but the episode will go up on a Monday. So
yeah, they won't hear
the
it.
people listening to this
Solomon
can't hear
Grundy,
it
born on a Monday.
on a Monday. Tomorrow I'm going to be jumping in on a friend's Star Wars tabletop RPG campaign. I'm going to be a guest star in his campaign, and
Kane Baslow Kane Baslow. Is that Solomon Grundy's name?
no, what?
Pretty sure it is. Go ahead.
Kane Baslow?
Something similar to that.
Anyway, here, you know what?
No, talk about
being
what you're
too
talking about.
complicated right now. Okay, Google,
No, talk what you're talking about.
what is Solomon Grundy's real name?
Oh, Cyrus Gold.
Cyrus Gold, yes.
Who am I thinking of then?
I have no idea.
All right, well, let's move on.
Anyway,
Now that important thing is done.
so they are actually like a bunch of criminals in there, and their campaign is about like their heists and things like that. So it's very much an Ocean's 11 type campaign, which is, it sounds really fun. But what the DM is talking about is like, you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and so is he. He's like, I want to plug you in just for
Basil Carlo is Clayface.
Oh,
That's who I'm thinking
Basil
of.
Karl. Yes, because it's Boris Karloff. It's another play because
You
he's
look
an
like
actor.
Boris Karloff, and you don't even care. It's a Tom Petty lyric.
Oh, got
About
it.
yeah.
So anyway, they're like Ocean's 11, and he
Yeah.
says they've become pretty comfortable in their strength, or because they are able to navigate NPCs pretty well, and I really want to present them with like another PC who can, somebody who's a little more charismatic than the DM. The
Yeah.
DM is kind of an introverted guy, and
Mhm.
and so he wanted to plug me in there, and so he's going to be introducing me as the right-hand man to one of the huts. But what's really happening
Pizza
is that I have murdered the right-hand man to one of the huts.
Oh.
I have I have stepped into the place, and I'm actually a bounty hunter that's hunting one of the members of the
Nice.
crew, and I've built a character that's just super charismatic, and my whole goal is to like talk myself into like a private moment with that person, and then to knock them unconscious and take them to my ship.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we've rambled,
We've rambled a lot. We do that,
and
It
we
happens.
finally figured out the mystery of the universe.
It's 42.
What is Solomon Grundy's name?
Cyrus Gold.
Cyrus Gold.
I know it. I 100% know it, but it's
Yeah.
hard. It's one of those really plain names, hard to remember otherwise.
Is
Anyway.
there any? Does he ever say that he wants pants?
Solomon Grundy want pants too.
All right. So I think.
Hang on, stop. If you know that reference, you are amazing.
Yeah.
And we are friends.
Oh man, classic. Well, we've talked a whole lot about a whole lot of things, but I believe that it's time now to get down to the nerdy gritty.
But first, Hey guys, we just want to say thank you so much for listening to our episode. If you are listening to this right now, but you are listening via YouTube or on SoundCloud or one of our other aggregators, you're Stitcher. You're listening to a abbreviated episode, an edited episode. In fact, all the stuff that you just listened to has been cut down. I just spaced. No, if you want to be able to listen to the whole thing, though, when we talk about Star Wars RPG campaign that I'm jumping in on, some of our opinions on Sekiro and the Epic Game Store and all this other stuff that we just talked about, you probably heard snippets of it all, but we have a much more like 25-minute, half-hour conversation. We have a director's cut edit via Patreon, and something that we really, really appreciate is when we have our fans support us on Patreon. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're saying to yourself, hey, these guys are kind of fun to listen to, drop by Patreon. We have 3 different tiers, a $1, a $5, and a $10. And at the $5 and $10, you get the editors and director's cuts of all of our content, as well as some early content on Patreon. But even if that's just not something that you can afford, the $1 a month tier allows you all of the early access stuff that we put, some of the exclusive access stuff that we put up, and then as well as our Discord, access to our Discord server, and then a production thank you whenever we use Patreon funds to do stuff. Like we're going to be using Patreon funds to pay for a guest coming up soon. So
we're really excited about that.
Yeah. So if you guys want to hop over to patreon.com/dezandfox, we'd really appreciate your guys' support. So Fox and I have been talking a lot just about like episodes and things like that we've been wanting to do. And something that Fox came up with recently is this idea.
This dumb random idea.
This dumb random idea that really fits into Fox and I's niche, though. We are pastors. If we say this a lot, if you guys know, we are pastors. I'm a youth pastor. He's a small group pastor. But we also love tabletop RPGs.
Yes.
And so
how do we combine those?
Yeah, what do we do to combine them? His idea, his suggestion here is, let's take the 12 base classes of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th edition. That's Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Let's take these 12, and let's take Bible characters, and see what Bible characters fit into these roles.
Isn't it crazy how alphabetically the 3 major magic-focused ones are the last 3? Sorcerer, Wizard, Warlock.
Oh, yeah, the arcane casters.
Yeah. I mean, mostly everybody can use magic in some way, but...
Oh, no, Bard is also an arcane caster.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, like, those are the 3 arcane casters.
Yes. Anyway.
Everyone else is a divine caster.
Anyway, yeah, let's go. We're going to go through each one here. I want to put a few, I don't know, rules, I guess.
Okay.
Well, and by rules, I mean the one thing I don't want to do, I want to take out any divine people from the Bible. And by that I mean like Jesus or Satan or angels or demons that are literally like supernatural, otherworldly type
I mean,
characters.
Technically Jesus was natural.
We can
talk about the divinity of Jesus.
Yeah,
if you
know what? Let's screw the whole D&D thing.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that.
So Jesus was both 100% God and 100% man.
Yeah, and it makes
total
sense.
Seem to make sense, but the relative matter is he needs to be both
Nope,
of those.
stop. Stop it. Stop.
We're talking about theology now.
No, we are not. We're talking about D&D theology. Also, we do want to stay out front here. We're making a goof here.
Yes.
Like we're making lots of jokes. I hope you're not offended by this. We're just making jokes here.
If you're somebody out there and this whole idea offends you, hey, you're welcome to stop listening. Maybe jump into one of our other podcasts.
Or tell us why. Because we'd love to discuss it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. But know that we are very reverent of our faith and our God.
We are very much trying to take D&D things and force Bible characters into that box.
Right. So this is just a fun thing that we're doing. So yeah. Yep. No worries. Okay.
All right. Do we just want to go through alphabetical order?
Yeah, let's go alphabetical here. And
we're starting with Barbarian.
Barbarian for sure, and I have my choice.
There's an easy one right out front, but I want to. Well, okay, let's just go with what I think are both of our, and that would be Samson.
Oh yes.
Well, who are you?
That wasn't my easy one.
Who was it?
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist is a barbarian?
Yes, absolutely yes.
I need you to explain that to me right now. This
Because
is getting
he's-
heated right off the bat.
He's living out off the land. He's not actually like, he's very rugged. He's known for being like kind of gross and wearing
Okay.
camel furs and eating
Okay.
bugs with honey and things like that.
You're right.
Yeah. So in all of his life, it's a very barbaric lifestyle.
Okay, so here's the rough part is that every single class has different versions. There's
Right.
different subclasses, different,
subclasses.
you know, barbarians generally nowadays are not considered to be, if you go by like 5th edition type. I mean, obviously you can be a barbarous, like barbaric person who's, you know, by the general standard. If you call somebody a barbarian, this is what you're thinking of. You're lower IQ, and you're just to me though, I went with the fact that barbarians, they rage out.
Yes.
There are times like they're always strong. They're always like, I'm going to smash things because that's what I'm good at. But then they go into rage mode. Literally, they go into a rage, and they are stronger, can do more attacks, and are just a little more terrifying.
I mean, Samson really is the obvious one.
He's the obvious one.
Yeah, because he's also kind of an idiot.
Yeah, he's pretty dumb.
Let's be honest. Okay.
But then he also goes into these rages where he kills
He murders
1,000
everybody
Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey.
donkey.
Yeah. Also, we're going to reveal some crazy things that happened in the Bible today,
Right.
because these things are actually in there. Samson, a warrior for God who is blessed by God in these times with strength, kills 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. Like, he slaughters them.
And so for me, it's weird because there's this woman Delilah, and he loves her. It's probably this probably speaks a lot to abusive relationships. Now that I'm being
Sure,
real about
this is
it.
a small part of his story too.
Yeah, there's a woman Delilah that he falls in love with, but she is a spy, and
Yes.
so she's trying to figure out the source of his strength, but he was told never to tell anybody. And she's
Right.
like, hey baby, and she's like unbuttoning the top button of her blouse, like,
Yes,
hey
bad
baby,
buttons.
what's the secret to your strength? And he's like, oh, if you
Sound
tie
like
me
Mitch
up,
Hedberg.
if you tie, they should have signs on broken elevators that say elevators temporarily stairs. Sorry for or escalators. Dang it, I already ruined it.
You ruined it. Move on.
Escalators temporarily stairs. Sorry for the convenience. But and he's like, oh, if you tie me up with ropes, like specific cords, then it loses my. Oh, that's fascinating. Then that night, men jump out and they
Whoa,
tie him
what
up with
happened?
what? And then it's like the next one. I don't remember what y'all were, but he's like, if you put frogs in my bed or
Yep,
whatever.
that's
I'm
what
making
it
stuff
was.
up now. And then that night, whoa, magically men jump out and put frogs in his bed. And this happens like 3 times.
Yeah,
and then he tells her. And then he eventually tells her.
He has very low charisma.
He's a dumb.
His intelligence is pretty low, but then he goes into these rages where he flies and just, or not flies, he flies into a rage.
Literally flies.
Yeah,
He's,
he kills
"Woo!"
1,000 people with the jawbone. He makes a bet at a wedding at one point, and he loses the bet. And instead of paying up, he just
kills
kills
everybody.
everybody. And then at the final moment of his life, he basically is like captured. His hair's been cut, which was the source of his strength.
Hair
And
had been cut.
Hair
It's
had
grown
been,
back
I guess
now.
it's true.
Yeah,
and he
because it
looks,
was years later.
and he asked God for one final moment of strength, and he pulls down a building upon people.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh, this is awesome. He's obviously a barbarian.
Yes, absolutely.
He's
the
an
perfect
unarmed barbarian.
Yes.
Like, he's an improvised weapon barbarian. Yeah,
But
he's the obvious one.
barbarian. I think barbarian still has a subclass that is about like animals and things like
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's a hard part here. Like I said, they all have subclasses. With all the books, everybody has like 6 or 7 different subclasses. You can go in a lot of directions.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The generic barbarian. The other one I would have said was Goliath, but that's just because he's big guy who's stupid also.
Yeah. See, I just give Goliath fighter.
He's mostly just a fighter. He just
Yeah.
happens to be a
large
large
man.
creature.
no,
yeah.
Samson is perfect for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so yeah, Samson. Let's go with Bard.
Bard.
Now, one of the most underrated classes in my opinion, because being a bard is so much fun.
In 3.5, it was not very great. It was mostly a support class.
Sure.
In 5th edition, Bard is strong.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Man,
A bard.
I played a bard and I really
a bard is
enjoyed
somebody who is high charisma and uses
it. Music.
music or performance really
Yeah.
to cast spells that a lot of times will buff or debuff other creatures or players.
And I also feel like there's an obvious one for this.
Yes. Oh, I just went with the obvious one here.
David.
Yeah. David is one of those jack of all trades kind of, because he has stories.
No, he's David.
Where he David of all trades.
David of many trades.
He's got a lot of, he's a pretty major figure in the Old Testament and does a lot. But almost the whole book of Psalms, the largest book in the Bible, is songs that he wrote. So I mean, we kind of have to go bard.
He's like known for his dances too.
Yeah, and known for his I mean, he was a king, and so people had to listen to him. But
right,
he seduced a woman, and
well, he was very charismatic and very attractive.
Sure, yeah,
high charisma.
He would be. He's a performer. In a lot of ways.
Absolutely a performer. And you know what he's not much of? A fighter.
Nope.
Yeah.
He sends people to do his dirty work.
Yes, he does.
Except for when he does take down Goliath.
Right. That was
but he does that because God allows him to, and not because he's a good fighter. He just throws a rock at him.
Yeah, he threw a rock at him. I mean, it was amazing. Let's not try and downplay.
Hey, he cut off his
did,
head,
but
after he was already dead.
Man, if you read the story of David and Goliath, there's so much to it that people...
Epic story. Goliath has like a son that comes back for revenge at one point. There's so much in the Bible that people don't know, and it's awesome.
So that rock is thrown so hard, it says that it sinks into
his brain.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So David is our official bard.
Official bard. But is there anybody else that you consider a bard?
I mean, lots of people sing in the Bible. It's almost a Tolkien level of singing.
Right. Absolutely. Of course.
And I didn't really think of anybody. I just went with the obvious one here. I don't have, do you have anybody else that might be a bard?
So as far as charisma goes,
sure,
and just being able to talk, obviously we said we weren't going to go divine, but Jesus was one of my thoughts.
That's true. Oh, right. I even broke my own divine rule.
You have a Jesus in there too?
I really do.
I mean, he is kind of a cleric, but still.
That's mine.
He's a wizard. No,
that's the next one. But
just super charismatic, able to get people to him with just his voice and just talking. The ability to walk out like charm person and be like, "Follow me." And
yes, that's a good point.
And they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Jesus also does a whole lot.
Right. But he could fit into a lot of these classes.
Let's move on to Cleric.
He does have a barbarian rage at one point.
He makes a whip. Oh, it's so good. So let's move on to Cleric.
Cleric.
Yeah. That's the one I put Jesus for. Mostly because stereotypically clerics are the healers, and that's a whole lot of what Jesus did.
Right.
He wasn't much of a fighter. He never fought anybody as far as violently. He was angry, but he never really went into any violent rage.
He didn't hurt anyone.
He in fact was submissive to violence.
Yes,
being done
very,
against
very
him.
much so.
But yeah, he healed people. I know I'm breaking my own rule, but Jesus is kind of a halfway in between divine and human person. So
right. Cleric, man. So Fox prepared?
Yeah, no, I literally have a list. And then I got here to Dez's house, and I was like, so we're talking about this? And he's like, oh, yeah.
That thing. I remember that now.
It's all right. I get to take the lead.
Right. No, okay, Cleric. This shouldn't be this difficult.
Here's another problem with doing this.
I think John would be a great cleric.
The
Apostle John.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he is there as a support person, and he's always really to care for people.
Yeah.
Like he is very much an empathetic person, and he's very much there to see the human and personal side of things.
Sure. Yeah.
And also he is a very strong servant to a deity.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that's one of the rough parts here is that a lot of these can be religious based, and pretty much everybody in the Bible is serving God at some point,
or some kind Goliath,
of a
deity of some sort.
So yeah, that's the thing. So a lot of times I went with kind of the general nature of what that person does rather than the reasons why they do it.
Right.
Let's move on. Druid.
I've got the perfect one for this.
You have a perfect druid?
Yes.
Who is it?
Elijah.
Oh.
He calls the she-bears down on people.
Oh, that's true. He calls she-bears.
Yes,
you know who else calls animals? Noah.
Nah.
He calls literally all the animals.
All of the animals.
All of the animals.
Yeah, but not to fight.
No, but I mean, he calls them. He is after the whole flood, he becomes a farmer. He's pretty close to nature, and this one I had to switch. I won't reveal who I switched it with, but I had him as a ranger, But okay, so that didn't really make sense. But yeah, I gave him the Druid thing mostly because I don't have Elijah. That one works too.
Yeah, so if you guys, here's another story from the Bible.
Yeah.
Elijah is going and doing his preaching and doing his prophetic thing.
Prophecy.
And some young kids are going, and when they say young kids, these guys are probably like 18, 20, something like that. Just some punk kids that are around and Elijah, and they're like, look at that guy.
He's bald.
He's bald. Hey, bald head.
Go on up, baldy.
Bald head. And then it says that Elijah called she-bears to
specifically
maul them.
she-bears.
Yes, I don't know why.
And these bears come in and murder these people. It's super weird.
It's like the Bible has this is like one of the many reasons why historians cite the Bible as a historically accurate source.
It's evidence from embarrassment.
It is. Like, there are so many things that are put in there that don't make sense. If you're specifically making things up, if you're pretending to make things look good, you don't put things like this in there. Why does it matter that this prophet called down she-bears to maul people?
What's the point of putting that in your story?
Right.
Unless it actually happened.
So, and this is a situation that actually happened.
Right. So that's a good one too.
Yeah. Power over animals, and they come in.
That's a major part. And that's not the only thing Druids do, but that is a major part. They're very nature-based.
Right. Very nature-based.
Right. I did have John the Baptist as my Druid at one point, because he lives out in the wilderness.
Right.
But
I have him in another slot too.
I switched him with something
we're going to
else.
get that. There is a king who's turned into a cow or a bull for a while.
Or he's not turned into a cow.
Or he just acts like one.
The term is, it's not lycanthropy, it's bovanthropy or something like that. It's an actual thing.
Okay.
It's very rare, but it's a term given to when somebody begins exhibiting the nature of a cow. It does happen. I think is it Nebuchadnezzar?
It might have been.
I believe so.
Not
positive.
He could fit into the Druid slot there for the wild shape.
Wild shape. I want one. I have a Druid in my party right now in my D&D campaign. I want her to do that. Usually she's a tiger, but I just want her to be a cow.
Just be a cow and then hang out. That's it.
Chewing the cud.
Hey. Excuse me, I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home? Yes, you're dismissed.
What's that from?
That's Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, okay.
All of her potions fall onto all of the guards.
Oh, right.
And they're all different kinds of animals. And all the rest of them, she's like, anyone else? Like, nah, we're good.
All right, next one. Fighter.
This
is like we said, the fighter is a very generic class.
Right.
I mean, it's great, and it has certain specific things, has an extra feat and stuff, but it is a very, like I said, jack of all trades.
Right.
It has some magic ability. It does, AC goes up fairly quickly. So a lot of things. I went with Joshua.
Ooh, Joshua's a good one.
He is specifically chosen to he leads a lot of battles.
Right.
Fighting. He's the one that leads the army of the Israelites to around Jericho when the walls come down. He also was one of the 2 spies that is sent into the Promised Land to scope it out, and he's one of the 2, or there's 12 spies. He's one of the 2 that come back that say, hey, we can do this. Like, let's go take these dudes, because there's people there that are already living there, and it's basically they have to route their enemies that are already living there. And 10 of them say, nah, we can't do this. And he's like, no, let's do it. Like, he's all about the fighting. He can make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's lots of fighters in the Bible. I have other people that could be fighters, but they're in different roles for specific reasons.
So the one that I picked for this, I picked specifically because there's the Paladin class, which is kind of like a fighter, but also very divinely based.
Holy,
and I can see Joshua
warrior.
fitting into that.
Sure.
The one that I have, he struggles with his faith, and that's Gideon.
Okay.
Gideon is a warrior as well. He's also a leader of battles, but I have never known a dude to question his trust in God more. So if you guys don't know the story of Gideon, it's a dude who is like, God's trying to lead him to do things, and Gideon's like, okay, look, God, wait, hold on. If it's really you, I'm going to put a sheepskin on the ground, and I want the dew to be all around the sheepskin, but the sheepskin to be totally dry.
Yep.
And so he goes to sleep that night, and he wakes up, and it's done. He's like, cool. But now,
wait a minute, do the opposite.
Yeah, now I want the sheepskin to have dew and the ground to be dry.
God's just like,
and then it does it, and then it's like, okay, but now,
wait a minute.
no, young man.
The hand with a newspaper comes out of the sky and hits him with it. No,
writing on the wall is now the newspaper hand.
Yeah. There's lots of fighters. Yeah, Joshua's who I went with just because he's generally shown to not have. I mean, he's obviously there's a lot of holy warriors in the Bible.
Yes,
people directed by God to fight enemies.
Right.
That's why I went with this one was kind of a random choice amongst a bunch of options. I have Gideon on here.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to
else.
that.
Yeah. So let's move on to Monk.
This one I struggled with.
This one's interesting.
A lot. Yeah.
Me too. This was one of my last ones that I chose. So a monk is generally an unarmed fighter.
Right.
Who is
very much like kung fu style, like literally.
Yeah, like an actual
Shaolin
martial
monk
artist.
Type.
Yeah. And a monk. Also, we consider a monk to kind of be like a religious kind of person. Like you go up and you're a Shaolin. I mean, Shaolin monk's
it's
a
not,
term.
That's not really religious as much as lifestyle based.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
And that's what we consider, and that's what they are in this. Like, they're in the description of monk in the official 5e thing. It really doesn't mention religion.
Right. It
mentions spirituality a little bit. It mentions like monasticism, but it's mostly just like an isolation. And also it talks about when a monk is generally in a party, they've left to become like a wanderer, essentially.
Right.
Carrying out a mission rather than their, leaving their life of solitude or isolationism or whatever. And I chose Paul.
Oh, that's a good one.
Paul received a call from God
to
go on a journey to carry out a mission that was given to him. He was not a fighter. he was before. Maybe not a fighter, but he was directing people to kill
violent.
Christians. He was breathing murder against, which is a literal term, which is a cool term. But he goes on a mission, like he suffers a whole lot for his calling, and mainly because he's literally constantly on a journey. His whole life, essentially, he is wandering around. Not wandering, he's going very specifically to places, but he is traveling and preaching basically and helping people. So that's why I went with monk.
See, man, the combat part of it is tough, and so I went Nathan here.
Oh,
because he was just a very chill guy, unless he needed to call people out. Like he called people out really well, but the prophet Nathan was one that was very at peace with himself.
Okay.
And there were times that he definitely called people out in the Bible, but at peace with the world around him, whatever. So very, very monk-like in that way.
Okay.
Again, another wanderer, another guy who went around where he needed to be and whatnot.
Yeah, prophets did that.
Yeah. Monk's a tough one, though.
It is a tough one. A lot of these, there's not a obvious, like, this one fits all of the different options or different possibilities.
Well, I disagree because I have the perfect one for a paladin.
Do you?
Paladin is the next one, yeah.
Who is it?
Peter. The Apostle Peter was absolutely the one willing to draw a sword.
Yes.
There was a right.
Cut off a guy's ear.
There was a right and a wrong, and it's the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
And how dare you say anything else? Blind devotion. I mean, to the point that, we talk about Peter a lot, we mock Peter a lot, but he's the one that Jesus chose to, be the next
to establish,
leader.
Yeah, he is considered to be the first pope.
Yes.
Based on, he's the rock on which the church
was built. Yeah.
Peter, did you know that Peter's remains reportedly are underneath Vatican City?
I didn't know that.
They are. It's.
So are a lot of other people's, I'm sure.
But yeah, there's specifically like a grotto where he is. Like, it's crazy. There's a lot of stuff in the Vatican City that's kind of like weird,
but also cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, cool.
Do you know that another fun
fact?
It's
a strange place.
Measured per capita, the Vatican City drinks the most wine in the world.
I don't doubt it.
It's the country that drinks the most wine in the world.
Because technically it's a sovereign nation.
Yeah, it's its own country.
And, they're taking communion a lot. So, I went with Gideon for this one.
Yeah,
he is a called holy warrior who is. He basically, like, the big story about Gideon is when he leads 300 men to overcome like 30,000 or 10,000 or whatever it was, and it's like. He could not have done that without his divine calling or without the help of the divine. And so things like that.
The thing I love about that story is the way that they choose the 300.
It's so weird.
He has thousands of warriors, and they're all coming up to a lake, and God's like, okay, whoever cups their hands and drinks out of the water that way, no.
Go home.
Whoever laps up the stuff
Like an animal.
Those are the ones. And I could just see Gideon being
Gideon's-
like, all right, guys, come on. You take a drink, Frank. All right, no, Frank,
See,
go
bye,
over
Frank.
there. Yeah,
Go
all
home.
right, take a drink, Ishmael. No, go over there. All right, Gurgenald.
Yep, that's the name.
Okay, you're with me. Let's go.
This is well. Look, you test God, he's gonna test you. No, yeah, it's a cool battle. Like they fight at night. Like they invade at night, cause confusion, make the enemies fight amongst each other. I mean, this is another easy one for Jesus because of the turn undead ability.
Yeah.
Anyway, mastery over death, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is another like fighter to me in the Bible. There's lots of options.
They're definitely
a
a lot.
divine warrior
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
fights in the name of God.
Yeah, especially in the Old Testament, there are a lot of people that
Yes.
are like that. I think Jonathan could fit into this one as well. Or not Jonathan. No, space. What's the name that you said? Joshua.
Joshua.
Josh could fit in this one as well.
Sure.
Speaking of Jonathan,
Yes.
Ranger.
Okay. Ranger.
Yeah,
You
Jonathan,
know
as
why?
in David's
Right.
friend.
Jonathan David, the lead singer of Korn. Just kidding. That's Jonathan Davis. But
Davis,
they're so
yes.
close.
Jonathan was just known as an outdoorsman, an archer, and
He's
just
an archer. I did not know that.
yeah, and he was just known like as he and David rode horses a lot, and they did a lot of stuff together, and just very much like a rangery type guy to me.
This is why I went with John the Baptist for this.
Yeah, this is
He's an outdoors. He
also
lives
fits
out in the
here for me.
wilderness. He is familiar with. He eats locusts and wild honey. He is familiar with how to track and how to like, just live off the land, as well as
Right.
he's kind of a weird hermit, which
Yeah.
rangers have the tendency to be
To
a
be
lot.
clear here, like this wasn't it's a cultural thing. It wasn't weird back then. No, John the Baptist was
he
also
was a
weird
weirdo.
back
He
then.
was a
Yeah,
weirdo.
like people thought he was weird.
Yeah. Rangers are also. I had to get over my like. He's a ranger because he's ranged and uses a bow. No, that's not. Like
Yeah.
they're basically
There's
It's
also two weapon rangers.
the original ranger was based on Aragorn, and
Right.
Aragorn wasn't known for his archery skills. Like he could use a bow.
A bow.
But he was a ranger. He went out into the range and was able to like survive off of the land.
His
and
home on the
range.
where
Yeah.
the deer and the antelope play.
That's what they have in. Well, I mean, I'm sure they have them in Middle Earth, but
Deer
definitely
and
have
antelope.
Deer.
Yeah.
Antelope maybe farther south. Yeah, that's why I went with this. Just because I had him, I had John the Baptist as a druid, but switch those out. He didn't really it doesn't really mention him talking. He just has like a what is it that he wears it's made out of camel hair or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
he's
it is.
got a camel
So
hair. That's
maybe
his
not
leather armor.
He doesn't have mastery over camels. He just wears camel hair, and that's what rangers would wear. Would make
Absolutely,
pelts
yeah.
and skins and stuff. Yeah. So that one was fairly easy for me actually.
Mhm.
Now here's an interesting one. One of my favorites.
I've got ones for
Rogue.
these, though. Yeah, Rogue.
Who do you have?
The 12 spies of Israel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I went
but
much more specific.
Who the two? Oh gosh, what are the names? I mean,
One
Joshua
of
was
them's
one
Joshua. The other
Yeah.
one is Bill.
Gurgenald. He was there
Gurgenald.
too. Gideon was son of that Gurgenald.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, Joshua and the other, like the two good spies, were the ones who snuck in and
Sure.
spied. And even in all of their sneaking, they also were ready to fight as well.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the other 10 spies were
They were like, "Nah, we can't do it. Let's
"Nope,
leave."
Let's go. Let's continue wandering the wilderness.
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah. But there were two guys that were like sneaky and stabby. They were
Sneaky
just-
and stabby.
when,
yes.
when it comes down to Rogue, sneaky and stabby are
You
the
know
two
who was
words.
much sneakier and much stabbier? Ehud. Now, we have to explain this one. So there's a story in the Bible of
That's a good one.
Ehud and Eglon. Ehud is basically is he a prophet himself, or is he just a messenger?
No,
or,
yeah, I think he was just the messenger.
Yeah, Eglon is a king who is known for
good.
his girth. So the story is essentially Eglon or Ehud comes and has a message for the king from God.
I want to be real specific here, though. Like, this is definitely a sneaky thing, but also Eglon is stupid.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
He doesn't like sneak in under the cover night. He comes in to the main doors. He's like, "I have a message for you."
Yeah.
but it's secret.
Okay, no.
So
We need to tell the
sorry, go
story
ahead.
because it's hilarious. Ehud comes to Eglon the king and says, I have a message for you from God, but essentially, like, let's just get to the point. Ehud stabs Eglon while he's sitting on the pooper.
No.
Wait.
Close, but no. That definitely comes, the pooper definitely comes into it. Okay, so Ehud goes in, and Eglon and Ehud's like, I have a message from God for you.
Yeah.
But it's a secret message.
Sure, and they send out the guards.
So Eglon's like, okay, everybody leave.
Sounds great.
And so he was like, come here, I gotta get nice and close. And they get real close, and he stabs him so deep,
yes,
that his fat envelops.
Yeah, the sword sinks into him.
Yeah, but he also cuts his intestine, and it says that he stabs him so deep that poop is coming out of his stomach.
Oh yeah,
and the guards specifically smell this.
Yes,
and they say to themselves, they don't come in because they say, oh, he must be pooping.
Yes, that's
because
what it
I can smell the poop.
Yes.
And so, like, you have to think that this was something the guards experienced a lot. They're like, oh, again.
Oh, dear Lord.
There are 2 doors.
Eglon's a big man.
Oh.
But another part of it is that Ehud hid his sword. He was specifically said to be left-handed. And so he hid his sword on the side
sleight of hand.
People wouldn't expect a sword to be, which, again, just check both sides, man. How long does it take? But look, it happened. And so, yeah, he is. And also the fact that he basically gained advantage, or just gained. He killed him in 1 strike.
Yeah.
Which is, a thing that rogues tend to do.
Not always.
And then escapes without being seen.
Not always, but oftentimes rogues are also known to be charismatic.
Sure.
And there's definitely something
disguise
to be said.
Self or to, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty perfect rogue right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also say Jail. Jail got a good sneak attack in there.
Yeah.
Somebody fell asleep and she took a tent stake and shoved it into his temple.
Yep. Oh, it's awesome. She definitely just had a coup de grace right there.
Coup de grace, yeah. Good sneak attack coup de grace.
After a certain amount of levels, if somebody is sleeping, you can just kill them immediately.
Yeah, rogue is one that you would immediately think there aren't many rogues in the Bible, are there? It's like,
wait a minute.
Well.
Oh wait, also there was Rogue from the X-Men. She's in Axe.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, but she's there.
I don't really get it, but all right, we got a couple more. The 3 major magic users.
Yes, sorcerer.
We're gonna have to differentiate which, like, the magic users and where they take their power, how they use it.
So there's sorcerer,
yes.
And sorcerer learns their magic, but they specifically learn like a few spells and focus on them.
Well, sure. A sorcerer is also somebody who has an innate ability.
Right.
Like, they learn, obviously, but you can't. It's what was the description I read about the big difference? It's a sorcerer is like a poet, kind of, where a poet can hone his craft, but generally a poet is a poet because they have this innate ability to. You can't just read a book and learn how to be a poet.
Right.
And so that's where a sorcerer. So yes, they have less options, but they have what's called wild magic, which is a little like chaotic, which is fun. And so for sorcerer, I went. Oh, go ahead.
I was also just. Gonna say
let's go through all 3.
Yeah, there's the wizard. Wizard is the book learned one, but they actually have to have their book with them, and they prepare their.
They
spells
are the
in
nerds.
The yeah, they're the nerd.
Yeah,
casters.
In fact, Harry Potter is perfect for wizards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are all learning how to, literally out of books, learning how to become wizards. I have a character in my D&D campaign who is Nevea Carewell. Luna Lovegood.
Oh, nice.
Right. And so she's a wizard who's a freaking book nerd, and she's really good at it. And then a warlock, it has a divine patron.
Right, which usually some like. No, I guess it's not always bad. Sometimes
not necessarily.
Yeah.
They've been chosen.
Yeah.
They carry out the will of their patron. And so.
Sorcerer.
They all do similar things, but with different purposes. For sorcerer, I went with Daniel.
Okay.
So here's the thing we also have to realize is that not a lot of people did like miracles, like quote unquote magic, where they just made things happen. A lot of it was God doing that through them. So we could just say they're all warlocks because they all have a patron. But if we're going to get specific, sorcerer to me, Daniel's main thing that he did. There's the Daniel in the Lion's Den, of course, that where he just escapes unharmed from lions,
Right.
but also a major part of his life was interpreting dreams. So I kind of saw that as a innate ability.
Joseph as well on that, right?
Well,
then?
sure, Joseph did that too.
Yeah. That's good.
Daniel did
I
a
like
lot
that.
of dream interpretation is kind of what got him into trouble and also what got him out of trouble a lot of times. That was my sorcerer.
I went because to me having a divine patron
That's
makes
the
you
warlock.
the good, right?
Okay.
So I went outside of that and went with the sorcerers.
There are literal
of
sorcerers
Egypt.
of
You know,
Egypt,
the ones
yeah.
that
Oh, it's true. That's a pretty easy one.
yeah, that turned their staffs into snakes.
Yeah,
as
we can do
well,
this
and
too.
things like that. Yeah, so there are some literal sorcerers.
Yeah,
in the
trying
Old
when Noah or when Moses goes in and is like, "Look,
Aaron.
Aaron, right? God sent me," and he puts down the rod and it turns into a snake. And the sorcerers are like, "No, we can do
cool,
that
bro.
too."
Here, have
Yeah,
some. Here's
and
some
it's
more.
kind of a thing. And
But
then eventually,
then
oh really?
Aaron's
Okay, we
snake
can do
eats
this.
them.
Murders everybody.
Yeah. So, that I went to just the baddies.
Okay, sure,
Of the
sure.
of the Old Testament or the sorcerers.
That's the fun part about all three of them is that they might have their general, but they all can be good or bad depending on you get to
absolutely.
create. For warlock, I went with Moses on this one.
That's a good one.
Or Aaron, I guess. Moses and Aaron.
Yeah.
They tag teamed their
They did.
warlock, where everything they did was because God chose. They had a focusing,
Yeah.
the rod of Aaron. But they everything they did was God through them.
Right.
He especially Moses was incredibly low self-esteem. Did not think he should be chosen. He didn't even speak very well. He had what we would think to be like a stutter
Or a lisp or something.
a speech impediment of some kind. And so he was able to do these crazy things, not because of his innate ability or because he learned, but because God chose him to be, like, he was his patron.
Yeah, that's what I would have gone Moses to in that
Sure.
area. Just
Yeah.
this whole to the flip side, there's a sorcerer, and then there's the one that has the patron that has called them, and
The
given them this
actual
power.
divine.
Yeah, the actual divine source.
Yeah.
And that's Moses.
Yeah,
and Aaron.
sorcerers are generally more like based in the nature, like the elemental planes, or not
Right.
really the divinity, and that's what sorcerers would have been there, where it was more of like well, we could talk a lot about that. But,
Right. There was also Simon the sorcerer in the Book of Acts.
Sure, yeah.
But at that
There's
time,
the witch at Endor. Like,
yeah.
also, by the way, Endor is a place in the Bible. It's the same one from Star Wars.
Right. Yes. There are also the Ewoks in the Book of Acts.
They're
and-
there. Wampas. They all show up. Porgs. Wizard. This one I went very different with.
I had nothing on this one.
Luke.
How is
Freaking
Luke a
book
wizard?
learning doctor.
Oh, okay.
That's
Just
all I
'cause
went
he's
with.
a nerd.
He doesn't. Yeah, just because. So Luke, he wrote the Gospel of Luke, obviously, and then also Acts. And he specifically states in the preamble to Luke, where he's like, all of this is because I took the time to interview people, to do my research.
Right.
All of his was, yeah. And so that's mainly he didn't do miracles or anything.
I was wondering. I was like,
I know.
wait,
I'm
why?
just saying.
What?
I went with the more general, wizards are the book learning, very they keep their book with them. It's like the source of their magic. That if they don't have their spell book, then they can't do spells.
Right.
And so that's what I went with.
Hermione Granger. No.
Yeah, I love
she's
her
she's in the Bible.
3rd John.
4th John.
4th John.
Yeah. Okay. So, what about some characters that do crazy things? Like what about John? I had him as a cleric, but what about John in Revelation? Where would we put that? Sorcerer, maybe?
I guess.
He's just got these visions, man.
He has these
You see
huge,
some
crazy visions.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the characters in the Bible with the one thing we know about, like Methuselah. He's a monk because he lives a super long time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where generally, that's the only thing we know about Methuselah, though. So he could be. It's sad, kind of. That's the only thing we know about
He's
the guy
old.
who lived the longest amount of time in history.
Maybe he was just this really bad racist guy, and they're just look, he was old. Let's not talk about him. After
They
that,
didn't
though.
want it. Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that we know there are other people who live a very significantly shorter amount of time, but we know a lot more about them. Although Methuselah was in everybody's favorite movie, Noah.
No.
He was in that, and
Yes.
he was like a guide, basically. It was,
Stupid.
I love that movie, but
You do?
I like
thought
it
it
for
was
what
awful.
it is.
Oh, I thought it was hideous. Just like I genuinely thought it was. When I wrote my review on it, I said I don't know why people are so offended by it, other than it's just a bad movie.
Sure. Yeah. No. That's the more like. You shouldn't be looking for biblical truth from a movie that's based on the Bible. Like you're gonna find flaws in everything.
It's not even. It's like to call it based on the Bible
it's
is to
taken from a story in the Bible.
ish even.
It
yeah.
is
Anyway.
Though. It is.
So
it's Noah and the Ark. Like yes, it takes liberties, but it's still a story from the Bible.
Heavily. Anyway.
Yeah,
but
the Passion of the Christ takes liberties. Like
we're getting off track.
No,
here,
we're not.
Fox.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay.
Way off
So
track.
who else does things that would also be
So I would like want to toss in James and John,
the Sons of Thunder?
the Sons of Thunder
the
in there,
coolest.
and maybe as like paladins who they want to like come
Sure,
in
they
and
want to
strike evil.
Yeah, they literally ask if we can
if
call
we can
down
smite evil,
we can call
yeah.
down lightning or fire from heaven to destroy these people. And
Some
Jesus,
good paladins there.
Jesus is just like, "Oh, guys, no, stop it. Another one for Rogue, simply because of the sneakiness. I thought maybe Judas. But I don't think that's fair to Judas, really. I don't think there's a lot of fairness under Judas a lot
Well,
of
what
times.
about
but Adam and
Rahab?
Eve could be
No,
Druids.
Stop. Who's the one that sneaks the spies out of the city? Was it Rahab? I can't remember. Dang it.
Ruth. Was it Ruth?
Was it? No,
I don't remember.
Was it?
I honestly don't remember.
No, Ruth was a judge, wasn't she?
Yes. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. She was.
Okay. Anyway,
There's lots of people that
we
could
didn't
be
even
lots
talk
of...
about many of the judges. We talked
Oh,
about
no.
like 2 of them.
Yeah,
but
Joshua, right, and not Gideon, but Samson.
Tamsin.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think, what Bible characters you think would fit good into the 12 classes. We didn't even touch on the extended ones like
there's lots of there's subclasses.
Artificer and Blood Hunter.
Yeah, I mean there's lots of different like not subclasses but like different paths you can take as different classes.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think. Tell us in the comments if you think that Fox is smelly. Let us know in the comments.
I'm gonna write that.
Yeah, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your support, and always remember, save games, save lives.
Oh, there we go.
Bye.
Oh, thank the Lord.